Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and in recent days, our mentions were flooded with requests to break down some alleged concept art that was leaked for upcoming Marvel titles like Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, and Fantastic Four First Steps. Over the weekend, an artist who we think works at Marvel Studios posted some internal concept art to their online portfolio, apparently by mistake, that might have been the biggest single leak of Marvel concept art that we here at New Rockstars have ever seen. And while this site was quickly taken down, the images are now everywhere, and we can't really pretend they don't exist. But I think I owed all of you an explanation of how we here at New Rockstars approach this kind of thing and why we do that. So let's break down what the happened with these Marvel leaks. So I must say here at the top of the video, we will not be showing the leaked concept art in this video. It is out there if you want to find it. We're not even going to link the images in this video or in its description. If you clicked on this video wanting a visual breakdown of that imagery as if it were a movie trailer or a movie poster released by the studio, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do it here. But I will give the vaguest possible description of what these images center around, descriptions that in my opinion do not spoil these movies based on the multitude of videos that we've made about these upcoming films and the comic storylines that Marvel Studios has even announced that they are adapting. But even if that is too much and you don't want to keep watching, I completely understand. Again, breaking down everything we see in this art and their plot implications is not what I am aiming to do with this video. I understand there may be other channels that you follow who did feel comfortable posting those images, and I understand that the images were not sourced through any illegal means and that we would be legally clear to talk about them under the general fair use guidelines on YouTube. Despite all of that, New Rockstars as a Los Angeles-based media outlet not only has a working relationship with various film studios and other media outlets that could be damaged by posting these images on our platforms, we're also made up of a team of hardworking professionals whose current and future individual careers in this industry might also be damaged by us showing those images. That said, those images are out there, and we can't really stick our heads under the sand and pretend they don't exist. We don't want to be less informed than our viewers are. So we still have an editorial priority to talk about what really happened here without specifically breaking down the visual details in each of the pieces of art, because we want to put it in some historical context and we want to really explain what Marvel Studios is doing and has always done. Okay, here's the timeline of what happened. In the early hours of March 1st, 2025, Marvel fans discovered an update to an ArtStation portfolio account of an artist who has worked for Marvel Studios as a senior concept artist working for the studio's internal team since February 2020. We are not gonna name the artist in this video, but I will say that they are extremely talented, and it would be a damn shame if Marvel fired them for this mistake, especially since the net result has been to get people who have seen these leaks even more excited for these films. But on this ArtStation profile, fans quickly found and reposted to sites like Reddit and Twitter images of concept art that seemed to be for Fantastic Four First Steps, Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, as well as potentially art for Disney Plus series Ironheart and Vision Quest. Now, this ArtStation profile was taken down hours later, but the artist's Instagram account remained visible as of midday Saturday, where this artist had previously posted various images from past Marvel titles like She-Hulk. But then when we checked again on Monday morning, that personal Instagram account was removed as well. But from these posts and from the artist's LinkedIn, we feel confident that they were an actual Marvel Studios concept artist and someone with real experience working on their Hulk designs. So as of this taping, we don't know what happened here, and it's possible that we will never know. It could just be that the artist uploaded these images and forgot to set them to private, and since this was all on a Friday night going into the weekend, maybe they just didn't catch what they did fast enough. But we should also know that this artist started at Marvel in February 2020 and likely spent the first few years of their time at the studio as a remote work-from-home employee, and we've seen various reports from the trades of Marvel's struggles to contain leaks in the era of artists working from home. But in this instance, it came from a senior concept artist, and I don't think that this was intentionally done. I also think it's pretty laughable that some out there are speculating that Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige might have made these leaks on purpose in kind of a shadow campaign to build hype for these titles. And I think it's crazy, one, because hype for these movies is already sky high, and two, there is no way they would do that using the ArtStation profile of one of their artists who had been working at the company for 5 years and dragging them through that. But again, the net result of these images among people who have seen them is, hell yeah, let's go. Doomsday is gonna make $3 billion now. Picture your favorite cookie, chocolate chip, snickerdoodle, whatever. Now, imagine taking a bite. You get some delicious cookie, and the cookie gets nothing.
You lose! Good day, sir!
pretty standard arrangement, but when you're on the web and you take a bite of some site that you're visiting, the cookies there take some of your data and bundle it up and sell it to anyone who's willing to pay a few dollars. Delete Me lets you take back control of your data because they agree that your data should be yours and yours alone. Delete Me is a hands-free subscription service that helps you reduce the risks of identity theft and scams by removing your data from hundreds of data broker sites. It's super easy to use. You take 5 minutes to submit your info to Delete Me. Their experts comb through the internet looking for places your data should not be, and then they remove it and send you a report on what they've done. Delete Me works all year long to remove things like your name, address, email address, phone number, and more from data broker sites, and they're constantly adding new features and updating their removal targets to help you get back control over your personal data. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use promo code rockstars at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use code rockstars. And thank you, Delete Me, for sponsoring this video. But the thing to know about concept art is that these are concepts. These are not storyboards for what scenes are locked for the film. We have over the years seen countless examples of MCU movie concept art showing characters and moments, settings, team-ups, fights, battles, depicting things that did not at all appear in the final cut of the film or in any actual draft of the screenplay. By practice, Marvel Studios hires artists and keeps them on retainer to draw a multitude of concepts for things that could appear in the movie, and then most of those concepts never actually do. For example, for Shang-Chi, we later saw concept art showing a cage fight in the Golden Daggers Club in Macau, a matchup between Deadpool and Proxima Midnight. Obviously, neither of those characters were ever in the film in any draft of it. Shang-Chi wasn't the kind of movie that could have multiversal cameos or cameos of deceased cosmic alien generals, but they did include in-universe cameos like Wong and Abomination. Spider-Man No Way Home had official concept art that showed Mysterio joining the battle by the Statue of Liberty, not in the film. Mysterio obviously died at the end of Far From Home, so this is a big swing concept of something that wasn't at all possible in the film's logic. Avengers Infinity War had official concept art that showed a very different wizard duel between Thanos and Doctor Strange that would have led to a trial before the Living Tribunal, not in the film. We've also seen concept art for Thor Love and Thunder that showed way cooler versions of Gore and his sword and locations that we never saw in that film, and I don't think Taika Waititi ever planned to put in that film. We also saw concept art that depicted Russell Crowe's character as the devil, not in the movie. But what makes these new pieces of concept art for Fantastic Four First Steps and Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars notable is that they seem to align with what many of us have speculated to be in these films based on clues in the marketing of Fantastic Four First Steps, signals and various statements from the studio executives, and visualizations of these settings and characters in Jonathan Hickman's 2015 Secret Wars crossover comic storyline. Now, I'm not going to describe what is exactly in these Fantastic Four First Steps concept art images, but I will say there is some stuff that we've been speculating about in several videos we made about the film that these images seem to be suggesting. Really, the bigger takeaways from these concept art images seem to be plot events from Avengers Secret Wars, though some of these images might be things that could be happening sooner in Avengers Doomsday. It's not really clear yet. For example, in several videos I've speculated that Marvel Studios will build some version of the map of Battleworld in the 2015 Secret Wars event. Like in this video that came out on New Rockstars last November, I broke down the various divisions of that multiversal landmass, including the fact that its Manhattan is even subdivided into Attilan, Manhattan from Earth 616, Manhattan from Earth 1610, and Monster Metropolis. I was kind of getting at how this could look in the Doomsday and Secret Wars Manhattan in Monday's video about how the X-Men are introduced after Secret Wars by merging different chunks of other Marvel worlds. And I previously explained how the northernmost landmass of Battleworld is called Greenland, which is a domain occupied by the Hulks, which includes a mud kingdom bordering a Port Banner. Like, for anyone who didn't read the 2015 Secret Wars, we're talking about Marvel Studios for the first time ever having a real actual geography, a map to explore, like Middle Earth in the Lord of the Rings franchise, or Westeros in the Game of Thrones franchise, or any number of RPGs you might have played. And that might be why the Russo brothers have been asked in recent days if they'd ever be interested in developing a game associated with Doomsday and Secret Wars. And we've reported in the past how Robert Downey Jr. was brought back to play Doctor Doom after being taken by Kevin Feige and Bob Iger on a tour of some big project being worked on by Disney's Imagineers for their parks. And part of the formula for Disney parks and experiences that Imagineers dream up are places you can visit. And Battleworld might be part of those designs that Robert Downey Jr. saw that floored him so much into agreeing to come back. And yes, when it comes to some of these possibly Secret Wars related concept art images, it does appear that this artist was just commissioned by Marvel to illustrate what some of these zones of Battleworld will look like using characters and likenesses from existing film and streaming titles. We've also speculated, just based on the position Marvel Studios seems to be in by moving forward forward with a third Black Panther film, that Marvel would use the multiverse in Secret Wars to introduce new versions of characters like Iron Man and T'Challa, anyone else who's dead. And Marvel Studios even outright told us to read Secret Wars number 5 from 2015 by including that comic issue as an Easter egg in Deadpool and Wolverine on the ground of the void, something both in the film and in the movie's very first teaser trailer in February 2024. So we knew from that moment that God Emperor Doom's backstory with Owen Reese Molecule Man and Doctor Strange's relationship with God Emperor Doom as his sheriff as Doom lords over Battleworld with the trappings of a medieval kingdom, none of that should be surprising to us. And this brings me to two important points I want to leave you with. One, Marvel Studios has always pulled most of its storylines, at least the craziest things to happen in these movies and shows, directly from the pages of the comics. Like Thanos' snap was an image directly from Jim Starlin's 1991 Infinity Gauntlet comic event. The only real question on Marvel fans' minds has been, are they actually going to do it? And the answer has always been yes! Like if they're making the title, they're always going to follow through on adapting the visuals that make that title popular. And that brings me to my second point. If A-to-A translation of the most popular comics is going to be Marvel's business model, it is at this point extremely unnecessary for Marvel Studios to insist on extreme secrecy and a lack of transparency with their audience. Like instead of Kevin Feige or the Russo brothers saying, we're doing it, we're doing Battleworld, folks, and letting fans speculate what parts of Battleworld Marvel could build out, all we really get is the directors and the studio executives playing coy in countless interviews and panels by just showing a movie title card and a release date that they often move or retitle, followed by a casting announcement with no indication of what characters people are playing, and cryptic phrases like new mask, same task, whatever that means. Now sure, that approach has worked for Marvel Studios in the past. I get why they keep doing it, but the studio, I think, now has lost control of the narrative. The studio has created this appetite for leaks, for misinformation, for completely unfounded claims pretending to come from sources just for engagement, and yeah, for concept art accidentally leaked for just a few hours to spread like wildfire before they can contain it. And before we say, well, Marvel Studios has always applied a tight-lipped strategy when it comes to their marketing and let the hype machine build organically, there is another way forward that Marvel Studios has been presented with, but they refuse to take. And that approach is talk to your fans, not just with overly scripted, tight-lipped panels at San Diego Comic-Con or in interviews with press people like me who are almost never able to get real answers out of you, but let your directors tweet storyboard art. Let them talk about exactly what comics they're pulling from and tell us exactly who everyone in your movie is playing. All of these things are tactics that James Gunn has applied to Superman. Will it work? Well, we'll see. But think about it, folks. We went into Captain America Brave New World not knowing that Zosha Roquemore is playing a character named Layla Taylor. Like they hid that from us, like it was important. We went into Agatha having to pretend that Joe Locke was playing a character named Teen. Like the story was structured around it being a big reveal that he was Wiccan. Why? Why did they have to structure the story that way? Why start the story before it actually starts? Like this concept art that came out should not have been seen as a scandalous leak and then removed from the artist's portfolio. This art should have been projected on the Hall H screen behind the Russo brothers when they announced these damn movies at Comic-Con. They should be pinned posts on the company's social accounts. That's how good they are. That's how effective this kind of approach would be to marketing your movie. Show us your work. Let us in on the process. You don't have to promise that all this art will be on the screen of the movie. Call it concept art. Call it rough drafts. We're gonna find out how the sausage gets made anyway, so take control of that narrative. Like, alternatively, if you continue to produce movies in a way that depends on the audience only getting enjoyment out of initially not knowing any of the proper nouns from the comics that will show up in this movie, you are requiring your studio and your casts and your crews to make art under impractical NSA levels of security, lest the whole project be ruined, and you're just asking for things like this to happen. And when your business model is for 80% of a company's storyboard to just be adaptations of what has been for years easily readable on the pages of comics, then you know what? It's okay for the public to know about what these movies might look like and who might be in them. The artists who dream up this imagery have always been the most valuable players on the Marvel Studios payroll, and those artists should not have to take down their Instagram accounts when they accidentally overshare their amazing work. Whew. Okay, I'm stepping off my soapbox now, and thank you for your patience with me presenting this video in a different way, and for probably sounding way too smug and telling a very successful company how to do their business. But comment down below with your thoughts on all this, and be sure to check out the Break Room channel for a longer conversation about these leaks that came out yesterday, and get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use promo code rockstars at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use code rockstars. Thank you, Delete Me, for sponsoring this video. You can follow me at EA Voss, subscribe to all 3 channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.